Hi all. The purpose of this session is to follow up on a brief demonstration of the current Anaplan application and to answer any kind of lingering questions about structure and functionality within the application. Okay, so what I'm going to do is briefly cover the application in kind of high level detail. If you do have further follow-up questions, go ahead and email the team and we'll get an answer to those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, again, the basic structures, which is going to be volume planning, trade investment creation and management, P&L, and then the planning assumptions that are part of the system. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with kind of some basic background on the application itself. When you log into the system, you're going to see a series of items on the left. These are what Anaplan calls dashboards. You then can navigate to different areas from your landing dashboard, which opens automatically. So for example, I can open up my volume planning screen by selecting this button here. Or I could go back and I could open up my trade promotions input screen here. In addition, I can just select the items from the left. Your user access and your role dictates what you have access to and the level of the hierarchy for which you do your planning. Okay, so I have a high level access, so I can see everything within the model. Okay, it would of course be different for you. So in this example, let's start with volume planning. Okay, on the screen you will see a few boxes here. These are kind of a brief summary of your P&L. And then we actually have the volume planning module down here. You see within each of these tables here that you have a hierarchy, so you can select it from here, and you can see that we have planning SKUs, which were discussed in the previous session, all the way up to total product. And then we have our customer planning accounts at the lowest level here, all the way up to the region level. So for example, you see Benelux, and then you see Belgium, all the way down to individual planning accounts. Okay. When we do our volume planning, and what I'm going to do is roll this up so we can see numbers in here. We do volume planning at essentially any level of the product to customer hierarchy. Anaplan has this feature called Breakback, which allows you to input volume, and then it will automatically allocate down the hierarchy for you. Okay, so for example, if I select Johnny Walker Red Label and I input into this cell, it'll push down to every one of the individual planning SKUs within Johnny Walker based upon the volume that's already in that cell. In the same way, it'll work for your customer hierarchy as well. So you just simply select the customer level, input volume, and it allocates down the hierarchy. Okay. When we do planning in volume, it is based upon the sales in non-promotional volume. This is similar to a baseline, and then we layer on top the promotional volume, which comes from a different input screen. I'll go over that immediately after. And then the sum of promotional volume and non-promotional volume is your sales in total. The sales in total is what goes into the P&L, again, which we'll go over when we have a complete view. So in this example, if I just roll this up, for example, and click on wholesalers here, for example, you can see that in the month of November there is some actual volume, but more importantly, if we look at December, which is a planned, we see 61 in the promotional volume, and we see 240 in the plan. The sum of those two will be your sales in total here. Okay. We also have different metrics here. So we bring in data from 2 years ago. We bring in data from the previous year. We have your plan versus what you did last year, which is just taking your sales in total and comparing it against your LY total. We have what your AOP is. We have what your plan versus AOP is as well. And when we say plan, what we mean is sales in total. Plan refers to the version that we're in. So what we have here is a series of versions. We have plan, we have actual, we have last month, and we have AOP rebase. Okay, and these versions hold different information. 99% of your work is going to be in the plan version, but we also have the AOP rebase. The AOP rebase is just like a frozen and locked version of your AOP. And then we also contain last month. Last month is a frozen version of your sales in total. as it was in the previous period. So it's a full year value, so you can see it here actually. You can see exactly what your numbers were last year. So you can see, for example, that there was a shift in November between what was in there last year. So the plan looks like it was 288. Actuals came in at 249. And then going out, it looks like there's been a shift in those numbers as well. Okay, so but that's just a locked full year numbers for what you did for your sales in total in the last period. Okay, we also have a conversion table up here that tells you what your volume is in terms of alternate units. So everything in this screen is input in EU, and then we convert that volume to cases, bottles, liters, hectoliters, 9 liter, so that you can understand in terms of other units what your planned volume is. Okay. As you change your volume, the P&Ls are instantly updated. So if you, for example, are looking at the total volume, let's say, for BE wholesalers for the full fiscal year, that's what you're going to see up here. So if I can adjust the numbers to the full fiscal year, and as long as these tables are synced, which they are, so right now I'm on BE wholesalers, I'm on Johnny Walker wholesalers, then the numbers will be exactly the same. Okay. So this kind of allows you to see a real-time update of your volume being reflected in the P&L. So anytime you enter a number, the whole system recalculates based on your input. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of a brief introduction to volume planning. So what we'll do is jump to the promotion planning. Okay, your promotion planning occurs only at the planning account level. So unlike the volume planning methodology that we have, we are locked in at the planning account level. Okay, so to create a promotion, what you do is just click here and you select your planning account, you move it over, and then you would just hit OK. What that does is it creates a promotion here. And then I have to input all of these fields for this promotion, right? I need to select a chain for which this promotion applies. This is an optional field. It doesn't drive any calculation in the model. It's really just for reference purpose. Then we have a mandatory field. We have the promotion name, which needs to be input, and we have an activity type. The activity type in combination with the on versus off invoice, and just as an example, I will select these for you. You would select an activity type here. You would select an on versus off invoice here. Okay. The two of these in combination derive the GL account. So we have a mapping table in the background which will automatically populate the GL account for you. Okay. We also have a promotion type, which is similar to the chain field. It is not a calculated field, so it's not mandatory, but it can be used for reference. So you can identify the type of promotion that you have: coupon, scanning, in-store, fields like that. Okay. We then have the sell-in, from, and to. The sell-in, from, and to dates. Those drive the P&L. So anything that you select here in terms of the day that the promotion starts and ends, that is used in the P&L calculation. So if only a portion of the month is active, like let's say that you create a promotion and only 2 months are active in February, 2 days are active in February, then the P&L will calculate accordingly to that. Okay, so it is based strictly on the number of days. We then have sell out, from, and to, which is a reference. It's not used in any calculations, but can be input there. Same as IO code and invoice number. These are just free text fields that do not drive calculations. We have the account manager field, which is automatically populated for the users, and just tells you who is assigned to a specific planning account. Then we have the GL account, which I went over already. And then we have the posted and SAP date. Again, it is an optional field. And in status, open, or say planned, confirmed, and canceled, this field, again, is optional. It's just used for reference. Here in the mechanic, we have a mandatory field. So the user selects the type of mechanic that they would like to choose. We have 3 volume-based mechanics, and we have a % GSV and a % NIT. Okay. These 3 fields require a rate per case input, and then these require a percentage input, which I'll go over in just a little bit. Okay, but this is a mandatory field because it derives the the value of the discount. We then have a lump sum, which can be placed on top of the rate per case or P&L mechanic. So if you want to do a rate per case and then on top of that layer on another 10,000 pounds in spend, you can just input that lump sum directly into this field. We then also have an allocation key, which is used to allocate the lump sum. I'll go over that in the second part of the promotion planning. And then we have a lump sum phasing. So you can select this and phase it by your net invoice turnover. You can just do a flat or even, which is based on the number of days in the promotion or your gross sales value. We then have a lump sum GL account. So this lump sum value, this amount, by default, it goes to the same GL account that you have set up here. It goes to that GL account unless you select something else. So you can select an alternate, essentially an override to the previous GL, which is exclusive to the lump sum. And then we have the lump sum invoice number as well, so you can input that specifically for this GL account. Finally, we have whether the promotion is sales in or sales out. If you create a sales in promotion, what that means is that it's going to go, and you've selected this tick box here, it's going to go back to the volume planning screen as sales in. So if I click here, you can see that we actually have sales out fields down below. You can't see them because Benelux doesn't use them, but it is optional. So if you tick that box and you say it's sales out, then the volume that you've input for that promotion is going to come back into the screen. The other thing to keep in mind is that as you create promotions and you input volume, let me go back to this, that volume, and it's going to be input down here, and I'll go over that in just a second, but this volume that you input, and if you input volume and it's a sales in promotion, that means it's going to be included in your sales in total, because sales in total, keep in mind, is the sum of your promotion and non-promotion. So this volume here, if you click sales in, it's going to be part of the total, okay? So versus sales out. Sales out is obviously not going to be part of the total. Because it's not part of the total, it will still hit the P&L, okay? So any spend, any type of spend that you could create in terms of your promotion always goes to the P&L, whether it's sales in or sales out. Whether the volume gets included or not, that's why you need to select whether it's sales in or sales out here, okay? Let me scroll back over. Okay, there we go. Okay, so those are all the inputs at the promotion level. The next step is to assign products to your promotion. So you would select the promo itself and then either just select a product like that and slide it over. And then once you do that, what you're going to do is get a promotion here with a series of products. Okay. You would then go in and you need to input a few additional fields. Everything in black on here is already, it's a calculated field. It's doing the work for you. Everything in blue is an input. So here we have a rate. In this example, what we've done is that we've created a per EU discount, which is a volume-based mechanic. So we have to put in a rate. If I put in a percentage, it's going to turn red because percentages are only for percent NIT and percent GSV. So the volume-based mechanics require a rate. They also require you to input a volume. Okay, so what you would do is say, this is the rate, this is the amount of volume I expect to sell, and that's enough to calculate the value of the discount. Okay, we have a few additional fields here, invoice number, actual volume, which we can go over in another session. It's quite a bit more detail, but these are calculated from the upper inputs here. So in terms of the invoice number, the IO code, and invoice number and IO code, we get those from the inputs that have occurred up here. And then we also have a lump sum, which can be input on top of the rate per case for specific SKU. So up here, if you input a lump sum amount, it gets allocated based on GSV to all of the SKUs within the promotion. If in addition to that, you would like to allocate a specific lump sum amount to one SKU, you can input that in this field. Okay. The final box at the bottom gives you a brief analysis of what your promotion plan is. So here you can select a product or a promo and see exactly how much volume is planned. So in this example, there's nothing, but let me select one here. Here I can see that I have 30. The 30 is split between November and December, and I can kind of do a quick analysis of the NSV, for example, of that specific SKU within that specific promotion. Okay. Once you've done your promotion planning, and again, I'm skipping over quite a bit right now. We have all of the trade terms, but I can do that perhaps if we require a more in-depth session. But for now, I'm going to skip over that, and we're going to go directly into the P&L reports. In the P&L reports, we have a series of dashboard views. These dashboard views just give you different slices of information. So here we have plan, we have AOP versus AOP, LY, so on and so forth, and then our P&L metrics on the left, and then our selectors at the top. Here it's quite similar. We just have months across the top instead. We have our versions as drop-downs. Down here we have a different view entirely. So this view has your line items at the top, and then it has the kind of versions right below that. And then we have this alternate product hierarchy. You'll notice that when I click here and I look at my product list, this is the SAP hierarchy. Now, planning SKUs are not part of the SAP hierarchy, but from the kind of bottle size up, we have the SAP hierarchy, or brand pack up, we have the SAP hierarchy. Here is something very different. We use the brand class, and this particular hierarchy is kind of categorized by premium, core, reserve, and other. You can select different levels, so you can go all the way down to the brand pack level, or you can just select it at whatever level you choose, hit OK, and this just gives you a different roll-up. So the premium core, for example, is not in these dashboard views up here. However, what we do is essentially map our products into that classification so that you can analyze your P&L by premium, core, reserve, and other. Right. If I continue down, we also have a case rate analysis, which gives you kind of a per EU indication of how your brands are doing. So again, if I click here, you can see that this is the brand class hierarchy, and then a very similar structure to what we saw above, only everything's per EU. So it starts with GSV, trade investment, so on and so forth. Okay, and then finally we have a customer view down here as well. Okay. Before any planning occurs in the system, there's a series of setup steps. So we have a place to plan your primary COGS and your supply chain COGS. Those would be generally input at the start of the year. And then we also have our base price. So we bring in the base price from SAP, and then you can layer on top any type of planning assumption you have for the fiscal year. So if there's a change in list price or base price, then that can be input here, and it will be automatically adjusting all of your trade investment, for example, right? So you would input a percentage price increase, for example, and then assuming that your trade investment stays exactly the same, then your P&L will automatically adjust based on the inputs that you've made to this screen here. Okay, so again, this is generally done during the setup. Okay. We then have a series of dashboards as well that for innovation, for example. So you can analyze how your innovation products are performing by country. And then we have Scotch analysis, which would be for the whole region, and this kind of tells you how your performance is only for your specific Scotch products. We also have some other features around Euromin analysis. So if I look back at the promotion screen, you might have caught that there's a field for Euromin. That just tells you if a specific SKU within the promotion is in violation of any of your Euromin kind of settings. Okay, so generally done at the start of the year. However, the currency conversions will be done every month, and the indicator just tells you how you're performing, or if there is a Euromin violation or not. If there is, then you would just simply go in and adjust how your discounts are formatted, or maybe the decrease the rate per case, something like that, to bring your products and your promotions back within Euromin. Okay. We also have some additional dashboards that have been released recently. We have an R&O review model that's worth going through. It's a series of dashboards which really get to the changes that you've made since the last submission. So in this example, you can see that we have plan, AOP, and last month. So this kind of tells you how you're performing to versus last month, and then the year to date, year to go, and then off to the left, or sorry, the right, we have the full year H1, H2. Okay. We then just kind of do different calcs off of this same format. So we have volume here. We have NSV in the second table. We have the volume again, but a slightly different format where we have time on the top and then our line items right below that. And then that's for volume and NSV as well. And then we have your what the plan is versus last month. The reason that you see nothing for July through October is because those are essentially actualized months at this point. November is actualized too, but there's still a deviation because last month still has the current plan. So you can see kind of how exactly what your changes are to last month. So in this example, you can see Johnny Walker total has changed 188 EU in November for your plan versus what your plan was for last month. Essentially, in the month of November, that would mean the actuals are the difference. So actuals came in for Johnny Walker total 188 EU under plan. Okay, and then we have a Scotch review analysis as well. So this dashboard is intended to kind of capture all of the changes that are made to the promotion. Change to your plan. Then we also have a promotional review dashboard. In this view, you can see all of your products. So you can set up a filter here, say, okay, I want to look at wholesalers, and I want to look at a specific planning account, Gall and Gall, and then I want to know what's in Q2. That will return all of your SKUs within every promotion for Gall and Gall. So here I see my products, but maybe more importantly, I see the planning account and the promotion name here. So I can see exactly, okay, this is one promotion here. These are the products within that promotion, and then I can easily adjust the rates. This is really just a filtered view on what the inputs are to kind of make it easier to use. Okay. Down here, what we have is a promotional P&L. So you can select a specific product. This right now is at brand pack, so I can select Johnny Walker Black Label 1 liter, and then I can see exactly how much promotional volume. Now this is across all of your planning accounts and all of your products with all the SKUs within Johnny Walker Black Label. So it doesn't go down into every individual promotion, but you can do that back in your promotional input if you remember. So we have a screen here down at the bottom right that was your promotional P&L. So you can see the performance of individual SKUs and individual promotions here. If you want to look at a higher level, meaning all of the promotional volume within Johnny Walker Red Label, then you would come to this screen to do that analysis. So it can provide some insights. Okay, and then we also have it by customer. So this is essentially the same field. It's just presented with line items across the top and then customers on the left. Okay. In addition to these kind of basic commercial planning functionality, we also have financial planning dashboards as well. I'm not going to go into those, but briefly touch on what they are. We have OIE inputs. We have overlays, which can be applied to the commercial plan, and then the innovation summary and the Scotch analysis as well. These summary P&Ls just go all the way down to operating profit instead of stopping at gross profit. So it just gives you that kind of full view of the P&L. Okay. Finally, we have some dashboards here which are set up for you to do some quick exports. The kind of purpose of these is to facilitate the kind of monthly submissions. So you can come into here. Now these don't go into a lot of detail, but they're not intended to. So you would select the country and then just go to data and then export, and then you can dump this into Excel, and it's pre-formatted and ready to submit. So we try to make that as easy as possible so that it is just a few clicks of a button, and then you're done. Okay. So that kind of wraps up the brief demonstration. Again, if you have questions, please reach out to the team. Thank you for your time very much. Bye-bye.